Live. There we are.
Hey.
Hello. As if by magic. Not content with one episode this week. We're having a bonus episode for the end of the WSL transfer window. It's been a bit tumbleweed and stuff and nonsense today, really. But we haven't had anything official from Brighton saying they're shut down for the night. So we're keeping a shred of optimism that something will happen.
We are hopeful.
We've obviously
there is a bit of news, isn't there, Albion-wise, from today, in that Olivia Johnson's gone out to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Which is, again, I mean, it's good. Well, hopefully that means she's going to get some football to play.
I hope.
She didn't get much at Bristol City. But it's kind of one of those things that's prickled my optimism, which is annoying because like I say, I'm an eternal optimist who spends his entire life gutted. Because, you know, if we've got one spot and we need to put an English player in it or a homegrown player in it. And with the forward line being as not entirely toothy as it could be, she's one of the ones I'd like to keep around if we're not going to sign anybody. So the fact that she's gone out, from my sort of logic, means that maybe there's someone coming to sort of fill that gap. I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing we hope for, isn't it? Because, like you say, if we're short up front, we've got two players that we've sent out on loan. You know, like, does that must mean surely you've got somebody else that's coming in? Surely, surely, because, like you say, we're already Aisha down, we're already Michelle down. You've got Kiko's going to be going off to the Asia Cup at some point, I'm assuming. That's three of it. So now we're left with Maddie, Kafaji, and Bex. Do you want to move them all out of position and into the striker role? I mean, you know.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, good luck to OJ because, well, obviously we can say this now because we knocked them out of the FA Cup. But it's a great club, isn't it? So, you know, and hopefully she will come back to the Albion with any sort of fear of big stadiums she might have had completely sort of blown away because they play at the City Ground as well. So that'd be nice.
You'd like to think that she's had some assurances on playing time. I mean, I don't think Brighton would have been in a position to sort of say, you know, a bit like Michelle, you know, the situation where, you know, we kind of feel like Arsenal probably said, well, you know, if you have her back, you've got to play her to some extent, at least. I don't think we're probably in a position to be able to do that. But equally, we recalled her from Bristol City because she wasn't playing. So if Nottingham Forest said, well, you know, we'll take her, but she's not going to play much for us either, then why would you bother? I would presume that they've kind of said, look, you know, we will give her some opportunities and, you know, she will get some 90 minutes and stuff under her belt sort of thing. But obviously, you know, on the other hand, Nottingham Forest have been one of the more active teams in the WSL2, bringing in players. So, you know, quite a lot of new faces. So we'll see. But like I say,
they've got Tierney, haven't they? So you'd think she'd be the one that's taking the major sort of attacking role, wouldn't you?
Who's that? Sorry,
Tiernan.
Yeah, Tierney. I'd take Tierney from Leicester. Not a striker though.
Leanne. Yes, I was. Getting my name. Leanne Kiernan from Liverpool. Yeah, so you'd think she's going to be the main striker that's going to go in, but
well, and they signed a Maywa who we were supposedly sort of had an interest in. I think they got someone else on loan, I think, as well. So I think, to be honest with you, they're sort of middle. I don't think they'll probably challenge for one of the automatic spots, probably not even really third. So it feels like maybe they're building for a season or two down the line and maybe sort of kicking the tires, as it were. And so we've got Charlie on the chat. Thank you very much, Charlie, for tuning in as ever. Obviously saying that we need a striker. He reckons we're going to sign Beth Mead.
Of course.
Optimistic, quite optimistic there. I mean, if we do, you'll have heard it here first. Let's put it that
You'd
way.
have heard it here first last season.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we've also got Tim on the chat talking about Olivia Garcia. You are correct, Tim. We did chat about it in part 2. But obviously, you know, I think it's worth us sort of mentioning our window so far. I mean, I think it might be nice.
It won't take long, will it? I mean,
no, exactly. Abby, did you manage to do a report card? It doesn't matter if you didn't.
Not yet. I sort of feel it's the sort of thing that gets done on the fly.
Right. Okay, that's fine
But,
then. In which case,
yes, it mostly is going to be see me after class.
Yes. Yeah. In that case, I'm going to take a quick poll of Claire and Ben to see what they think of our window so far. You know, because sometimes doing nothing might be the optimum thing. Probably not, I'm feeling, but I'll come to them first and give you a moment to collect your authoritarian thoughts, Abby, on who you should be seeing after class and who needs whipping into shape, etc., etc. So, Claire, I mean, we've had Jorlin's gone out, we've had Evie Milner's gone out on loan, OJ today gone out on loan, we've had Ulaug in, and obviously, as Tim pointed out, Olivia Garcia in and out in quick succession. So, what would you, if you were sort of giving it a grade from sort of A to F? You can have the minuses and pluses. That's fine. What would you sort of? What's your first gut instinct? Would it be around? Do you reckon?
Well, I mean, I think honestly, unless we get something absolutely magical in the next 50 minutes, I think we're on like a D minus. No, we haven't even caught up from the summer, and started ourselves off on an even kill. You know, we've literally, and I know it's difficult. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting it's an easy job to go out there and find players that want to play for us. But if that's the case, then the budget's not right. It's as simple as that. Because if people are not wanting to play for you to win stuff, they play for you for money. And if we're not prepared to part with cash, to pay for players, buy players, pay the wages that we need in a time when we have no strike force, then to be fair, I think it's a little bit embarrassing.
Yeah. No, I completely understand that.
You know, we finished 5th last year. We should have been building on that. We didn't. We let that go in the summer for whatever reason. That didn't happen. No explanation. No like, oh dear, we were in for this player or that player. No, you know, just there you go. We're off. We're running. And now we're in January and we're all expecting somebody to come in again. And it's just like, you know, tumbleweed.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, are you sort of thinking, I think, to be honest with you, most of us, given the fact that we all have identified many, many times that we need a striker and we haven't got one since, you know, obviously the window opened, although be it we signed one and then loaned her back out. I think we're all going to be at the lower end of the scale, but what's your sort of snap grade on what you think of the window so far?
I'm kind of half with Claire and half a bit better, because I mean I do like Ulaug. I think she's going to be good, and I sort of understand the Olivia Garcia thing. Is the big problem is that we've got 24 players. We're allowed 25 players. We have to have 8 homegrown players, and we've now only got 7. And one of those is Emily Gay, who's an academy player. And so the problem is we need to fill that spot with an English player. And so kind of who is there? There's so it's, and you look around, I mean, there's not been much major business done. I mean, obviously Tottenham got quite a few players in sort of quite early in the window. And then, there's been 1s and 2s, like Man United got Van Gaal, didn't they? And stuff. But
Schiller.
Oh yes,
quite a big,
So actually they've done well as well, haven't they? Actually, but
really bolstered their striking options, certainly.
But Man City have signed Sam Coffey, and that's it. No, Arsenal actually haven't signed anybody, I don't think.
Goalkeeper
today.
Yeah.
On
loan.
But that's I'm surprised they didn't just borrow Katie Startup again like everybody else does.
I mean, the BBC has said Arsenal in Michelle Aguiman.
Yeah, they've signed Michelle Aguiman for Brighton.
I don't know if you can count that one.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I think there's not been an enormous amount of movement. So it's sort of we've nabbed the sort of one of the good goal scorers from Norway, and we've nabbed one of the good goal scorers from Denmark, but put her on ice until not literally at the moment because they're on a nice winter sun camp. But yeah, we put her on ice until the summer. But otherwise, there's not, there aren't sort of a couple of dozen bunny shores with British passports wandering around. So it's not been great, but I kind of understand why,
Yeah, and I suppose that's the issue. I mean, for me, if the end goal is basically in the summer, there's going to be lots of free agents. We want to be able to sign them up. We don't want to commit to a player we don't really want in January. I think we can all get behind that. But there have been a few loan deals here or there where you think, well, that's almost like a I think I said yesterday, it's almost like a fait accompli. It's a hiding to nothing. If we'd have got like Leanne Kiernan or we'd have got Martha Thomas, not that they're world beaters or by any stretch of the imagination, but it would have given us another option. They're two players who have played and scored, not prolifically, but scored in the WSL. They're both international players, again, not for top nations, but for perhaps the second tier down. And it's sort of like if all you were going to do was essentially kind of kick the tires on them and let them go back to their club after 6 months, then those players would have been better than nothing, definitely, to me.
Yeah.
But the only thing I would say, and actually, that is obviously a great point about the homegrown thing, and I think that has hamstrung us a little bit, is I don't actually know whether Leanne Kiernan or Martha Thomas would qualify as a homegrown player, because I don't know how long they spent in UK academies. Yeah, Thomas would have been one.
She's sort of, I think she's from London or something.
Quite possibly, yeah, but eligible for Scotland, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the other thing could have been that maybe we were in for a 6-month loan of her, and she decided to go to Liverpool instead.
Yeah, could be.
It's possible that happened.
Oh no, she's from Wiltshire. Sorry, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
She was at West Ham and Man United and Tottenham.
Yeah. So
the problem for me is that we've known about this problem since October.
Yes, exactly.
We knew the minute Michelle got injured, we knew we were in trouble.
Yep.
And we needed to do something. And I understand, Zoe said you spend months talking to a player and blah, blah, and then Man United or whatever come in and steal them from under your nose. But why do we take months to talk to a player? Why are we not just getting them signed up? Spurs have done it. Spurs were in there talking to players and had them all signed up November. Everyone knew who was coming in for Spurs. Why can't we do that? Why are we giving Man United the opportunity to come in and steal players? That's for me is where it's a little bit kind of negligent on the club, I think, to not get it signed up and done.
Yeah, no, and to be honest with you, I mean, that was another thing that occurred to me today, because obviously they're talking about Georgia Stanway potentially going to Arsenal. Seems like it's quite likely that's going to happen. That basically, if you've got 6 months left on your deal, you can sign for a foreign club. Well, as far as I know, that's not a UK rule. That's certainly Europe wide. So we could have been talking and signed players up in theory in the summer to come to us at the end of their season.
Yeah, and you could be announcing that now, which then would at least alleviate the disappointment of nobody coming. At least you would know, I don't know, Beth Mead, Sam Kerr, whatever. They're signed for us. They're coming in June. Then you've got some excitement around the club. You've got something. But this is 2 windows now where you've just been left to the last minute disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Ben, did you want to give a grade? I sense you're going above.
I'm gonna. This is that horrible. You're never allowed to give 7 out of 10, are you? So I should be allowed to do this because I'm going to give them a C, because I think there's a D but also a B, because I like Olaug and I'm looking forward to Olivia Garcia, but at the same time,
one of them isn't here.
We're missing something, but at the same time, I can kind of understand why. I mean, if you take Tottenham, it's like you look at they've signed Blackstad, like Nilden and Gaupset, and then they've got Hamano and Siki's come back. Got Hamano alone, but it's like those like 4 Scandis. It's like, tell me your managers just come from the Scandinavian leagues without telling me your managers just come from the Scandinavian. Basically, he handed his business card around on his way out of the country, didn't he? Basically, so I mean, he probably was doing that sort of deal in the summer. He's going, hey, senior, I'm signing for, I'm going to go because he was at Brann, wasn't he?
Yes,
so
he was.
Gaupset was actually his player, so he's gone, see in January, senior sort of thing, or even December actually. So I mean, I suppose we haven't kind of quite got that, those sort of tentacles around, but so that's it. I mean, I'm a C because I'm a B and a D.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, a player that you mentioned there, Hamano. I mean, again, if we knew we needed like a forward, or she's probably not an out-and-out striker, but she's certainly a central forward. Let's say that. Could we not have gone more aggressively at her? Because to me, she's not guaranteed probably to start every game for Spurs. Because they've actually done quite a lot of strengthening, and they were doing quite well as it was. As I said on the podcast yesterday, and I can't remember whether it would have been in part 1 or part 2, so apologies if it was in part 2, which you won't hear yet. But we have an opening essentially for a starting striker. If we got a half decent player, they would start every game at striker for us at the moment. There's no other WSL club I think you could say that about. Even like Liverpool, they've got Olsen coming back. They signed a couple of new players. West Ham, Shakira Martinez, Ueki, players like that. We're almost in a unique position where if we got someone on loan, if we got a youngster on loan like a Hamano, she would play every game for us. And I don't know whether that's us not being in for those players, or those players going, we don't want to be involved, with Brighton. We don't think they're good enough, or whatever it is. I don't know, but if it's just we don't put our hat in the ring, then I think we need to be a bit more forward with putting ourselves in that conversation and saying, look, okay, you could go to Tottenham and they're 5th, well, we're 7th, but if you come to us, you're going to start straight away, virtually straight away, pretty much. Whereas if you go to Tottenham, you're going to have Gaupset, you've got to get past, you've got Beth England's going to want a few minutes here and there, and they got Tamberg already, and blah 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 blah. So we don't really have that. So I think we're almost in a really privileged position where we can say to a striker, even if it's for 6 months, if you come in, you're going to get a crack at playing WSL games. And whoever that may have been, then I hope that we were in for some of these players and just didn't end up getting. I mean, this is on the assumption that we aren't getting anyone today / tomorrow.
38 minutes to go.
38 minutes to go, yeah. And if they do a deal sheet, they can go another hour, I think. All that brings me round to Abby then. So we've got a D- and a C. So there's a bit of wiggle room between the two. But what do you think?
Well, I was just thinking while you were talking there about, you were saying that, some clubs haven't done very much. And no, Arsenal haven't done very much, and Chelsea haven't done very much, and Man City haven't done very much, and they don't need to. They've got very good. Even though, Sonia Von Pastor lover is paving the way by saying, "Oh, we haven't got a very good squad."
I think Arsenal and Chelsea will both have an overhaul in the summer anyway.
Yeah,
that's a given.
They're looking forward. But what I'm more concerned about is not them. I'm concerned about, Aston Villa, they've got 2 people in, but they're 2 very, very good players that they've got in. We've got 2 in. Leicester City have really strengthened themselves. Liverpool have really strengthened themselves. London City have got some good people. Man United have got good people. Tottenham's got almost half a new team. And that's where these are the teams that we are competing against and are judging ourselves against, and they are strengthening.
Mm-hmm.
And if all of those teams come good and we don't, and we are still sort of, struggling, I think we could have a really difficult second half of the season. Because like I was saying I can't remember which bit of the podcast, but my worry is, and I see there's a couple of people in the comments saying the same thing, we've only potentially got, two. So for Arsenal, we can't have Rosa.
Yeah.
So Carla's probably going to have to start that one. Or we've got
Kiko
Ulau.
and Camacho. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah. But my big concern is what if one of them gets injured? And then we've got the various, we've got the Asia Cup and the WAFCON. So we're going to lose Chia. We're going to lose Kiko, possibly Minami, possibly Charlie. And it's certainly up front. I'm not so worried about the defence because I think we've got a good depth there and they are doing very well. But up front, all we need is for somebody to go to the Asia Cup and somebody to get injured and we are in real trouble. And that is where I am concerned. I'm not concerned that we haven't got a big name coming in because I don't think this was the time that we were going to get that big name as much as we all wanted it. And I'm more than happy for Brighton to prove me wrong in the next 36 minutes. I'm just concerned that we just don't have the depth and that we are then looking at saying to Carla, really sorry, kid, it's you for the next 3 games. Because, she's gone there and she can't play and this one's now injured. Bex is coming back from injury, but she's still coming back from injury and she hasn't, we've seen her in her boots and that's lovely. But we haven't seen her playing on the pitch and she's not got.
And also we know that Brighton don't rush people back. So even if Aisha
which is
fit,
good.
Yeah, of course. But it doesn't help the squad, does it? Because even if Aisha is fit, even if Bex is fit, they're only going to get 5-10 minutes at the end of games for the next 2 or 3 games. They're not going to start games. They're not Jankovic. And so that is worrying. It just leaves us so short up front, which then means,
and that's where
you're bringing in the kids.
Yeah, and this is where I'm slightly worried that OG has gone off on loan, in that there's nothing to say that she can't play at the moment. So she comes in our squad, she could start games, she could be playing right away. Aisha's still an unknown figure. And that's been my concern all the way through this. I think she's a great kid and I think she's got, a lot of potential. But right now, this is someone who's taking a squad space who we've not seen for one reason or another. And whether that's the club or whatever, at some point, we need to be quite, business-minded about it and say, we need that space and we need to have it with somebody who's going to be able to contribute now and take the pressure off her having to come back and go straight into games. Because, if we start losing people...
It's quite a simple equation, isn't it? If she's fit or nearly fit, you loan her out, get her some minutes somewhere. Even if it's like to Lewis or someone. You're not telling me that Lewis wouldn't bite your hand off for a player, like Aisha, the potential that she's got. If she's fit. If she's not fit, if she's still not fit, I sort of think, well, when is she then going to be fit? And like you say, Brighton are not a club who are going to go, oh, Aisha's just done 10 miles on the bike, stick her in from the start. No, it'll be softly, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, 5, etc. Until, I don't really know, because I still don't feel like she gets in ahead of the majority of our other strikers. I don't see her starting even over Carla, to be brutally honest with you. Certainly until she's proven that she's going to be an improvement. So to me, exactly like you say, we could have brought Olivia Garcia straight in. And if, like I say, if Aisha is near enough getting fit, you could have loaned her out to get game time somewhere. If she's not fit, then to me, she's probably not going to be fit, or at least match fit, this season. Ergo, you take her off the squad list. They don't have to break her contract or anything. They don't have to stop paying her or anything like that. famously on the men's team, Buonanotte went to Chelsea because he wanted to play Champions League football, and then they left him out of the Champions League squad. So that sort of thing happens. It is a business, and I think we all wish the best for Aisha, but we either really want her to play or be given the opportunity to go somewhere and get back to full fitness. It has to be one or the other. So it will seem weird if she remains in the squad and barely plays for the rest of the season. Yet we've sent out this other player on loan who, in theory, should be fighting for a starting place. At least, certainly within the squad we've got right now, she should be starting, fighting for a starting place. So, yeah. Did you want to give us a grade, Abby?
It's very difficult because we've seen Ulaug for
5 minutes,
20 well, I think it was about 10-15 minutes at the end of a game that we were fighting for, and then Olivia comes in, stamps a passport and goes off to Sweden. So it's very difficult when we've not seen them, and like we've said, we've still got gaps. I mean, we were 3 players. I know I'm prevaricating. I'm thinking in my head. We were, let's say 3 people down. And yes, we've got Ulaug in, but we've sent Jory out. So one of our transfers in is a net neutral because we sent a player off and then we got her in. And so. And I know why we've done that because, we needed to, in order to sign a foreign player, we had to let one go. But we've now not got Jory. We do have her. We've not got Olivia Garcia. So I'm really struggling to see how we've sort of improved ourselves as a squad. So I would be tempted to sort of give them a C-, D+ maybe.
Yeah.
C- if they get started on their extra homework.
Well, so do you want to give them a D+ for now and then see if they do anything else?
Yeah. I mean, if we're all going to say, if we get Sam Kerr in the next 10 minutes, we're all going to be just like, yes!
A-, it's all
Brighton home Albion, we love you. This is the greatest football team in the world. It will all change on a sixpence. But I've always said from the beginning of the season, I have said this is a transition team and we are building for next year.
I think that I agree with you. We are building for next year, but we're not building anything.
No,
we haven't added much to build. Like for me, I look at Spurs, who are where we were last year, and Spurs have just done what we should have done last season: hit the January window and bolstered everything and said, let's go for it. Because I wouldn't be surprised if Spurs take that 4th spot at the end of the season. But we didn't do that because we're too busy penny pinching, too busy waiting for a freebie. And
I think most of those Spurs ones are freebies.
Yeah, they got the freebies, but they got names. They got people they wanted. And they signed them up and got them in. We haven't.
Yeah, I mean, Stuart sort of rightfully pointed out that obviously the budget for the women is a lot less than the men. But I think essentially in this window, we're showing that the budget is essentially not lower. It doesn't exist. Because we're signing free agents. And the thing is, that's not a bad... it's not a bad game plan in a way. Certainly if those free agents turn out to be worth something down the line and you can sell them and build from there. But I think the difficulty that we have with that as a fan base is we've been told this thing of, we're trying to improve, we're getting better, we're going into a new stadium, we want to shoot for 4th. But then when you're signing free transfers and trying to develop up to sell on later, that's a 4, 5, 6 year plan.
Yeah.
That isn't next season will be better, because to do so, we'd have to sell Chia at her price. We'd have to hope Ulaug had a brilliant end of the season. Someone came in after 6 months and said, let us take her off your hands for a couple £100,000. We'd have to hope Carla came into some form or whatever, and maybe a club in Spain thought, oh yeah, we'll take her back now she's hit the ground running. It's lots of ifs, buts, and maybes, and also, like I say, it would all have to happen in an incredibly short amount of time.
Yeah.
We haven't got even half our games left at this point. So
I think that's the other thing, isn't it? We're built all those younger players for building for the next season are there. That we've done that. That's done really well. We've got the Carlas. You've got all of those that are sitting there. We needed experience, and we needed something to do it now. And that's where we're lacking, is we're not getting. Yeah. We needed a Keats. We needed another Fran, another Jankovic.
Yeah.
Beth England.
Yeah.
But you can't buy Beth England if Beth England isn't for sale.
No, of course.
So that's why I'm sort of I've got the two grades, because I think we haven't signed anybody apart from Udell, which I'm excited about. But then again, I don't know that there's anyone available.
But there were loads available. That's my point.
Yeah, but I think you can't just kick the football club's door down and go, we're taking this player on loan. Thank you very much.
No. Actually, I would argue in the WSL, every player is available if you put the money up. And that's the difference. The money's not being offered. So why would Spurs let go of their top player? They're not going to. But if you offered them, $100,000 for Beth England, they'd say thank you very much.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think there's certainly an element of that. Obviously, the club don't want to get taken advantage from. I think everyone and pretty much their dog who knows anything about women's football knows that Brighton were after a striker, and I'm sure they had the price jacked up on a few players that they were after. I don't doubt. And also, obviously, there were some players who perhaps may have used Brighton as a tool to get moves to other clubs. Yeah. I think it's one thing to say, you're negotiating with a player for 6 months and then someone comes in and beats you to them. I also think there's probably an element there of, okay, I'll come to you, but so-and-so's found out I'm available now. Yeah. So I'm off there instead, that's agents' jobs, right? They're agents' jobs for these players is to get the most amount of money at the most successful club. Yeah. So I'm sure if we were in for a Vangerheim or even a Tamberg in the summer, that their agents would have been saying to the top 4 clubs and Spurs and teams like that, she's going to move to Brighton if you don't do something soon, So, if it was Vangerheim, Man United, you were sniffing around, if you're not careful, she's going to go somewhere else. And then they come in and just blow us out the water because they're Man United and we're Brighton. And that's just the lay of the land, isn't it? So I think we've done what I would say we've done well is that the 2 free agents that we've got for no money seem to have had quite a few suitors other than Brighton. And we seem to have been able to persuade them to join us, which I think is a good sign, because you would hope that they're, what they've been told about the club and how the club will develop them and players, and things like that. That's obviously been enough to convince them that we are the right move to make. So I think that's positive. But then you want to use that to bring in players you pay for.
Yeah, but I think we always are quite good at persuading the players that need a stepping club.
Yes, I agree.
I think there's a lot of players in the mid-range who are wanting to go up a step. Yeah, they know they're not quite Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United yet, but if they can get a couple of seasons with a team like Brighton, Aston Villa, whatever like that, that's a stepping stone for them. And I just worry that because this is our transfer policy, that's all we're ever going to be, is a stepping stone for every good player.
I think that's the lot of just the sort of second tier clubs. That's every single Premier League club outside Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Man City, pretty much just them again. Pretty much every other Premier League club is a stepping stone club for someone to go, I'll sign for Leicester and then maybe I'll a couple of seasons I'll make it up to top.
You want to be a top 4 team. You're saying you don't want to be a stepping stone club. So therefore,
I think
you can't have it both ways.
I think they need to paint over that. I think they said that when the WSL was in a very different place. when in the days before Man United were in the WSL for a start, and I think that has become a sort of stick for people to beat them with. I think I think because the men's team has got a similar thing, but the men want to be a top half Premier League club, which pretty much consistently they are. Might go down to, they finished 11th last year? Can't remember, but they might slip.
A little bit.
They might slip the odd place or two here, but they're solidly mid-table. Every now and again, you're sniffing around the sort of Europa League places, which and again, I think playing in the Europa League that season has given certain people rather high expectations of what the men's team should be doing. So I think the fact that they did say top 4 has really basically come back to bite them, because what they really meant was, we want to be a solid competitive WSL team. I think really, and I think we are. I think generally we are. So yeah, but I think that, like I said, that's the lot of every club in every country. There's sort of clubs like you think, oh great, I've signed for Leicester, I'm playing in the Premier League. If I do well, then maybe I can go to Tottenham. And then you get to Tottenham, you think, oh, I'm doing well here. Maybe if I do well, I might get to go to Man United. Yeah. And then you're sorted. Whereas, so we're sort of, we're the Leicester, of player ambition, certainly in the Premier League, that players will see going to Brighton as an opportunity to, in a couple of years, go to a better Premier League club. And that's the same, across the world, really. You go to Atletico Madrid and hope that Real notice you, or whatever. You go to PSG and hope that Lyon are watching. That kind of stuff. There's just, that's the club we are. I think I think we do have to be a bit realistic about it sometimes.
Yeah, I agree with that in general. The only thing I would say is that Brighton spent £200 million in one window on their men's team to get them back into Europe. It hasn't worked, and look what's happening with the fan base.
Yeah,
they're all over Hertzler like a rash at the moment, because he's not getting us into Europe after we spent £200 million. And I think that's the thing, is if we'd had a window where we went gung-ho, we bought a load of players, good quality players and stuff, or players that we thought was going to elevate us, and they didn't, then we could go, well, at least we tried, and we could look at the other issues. We could say, is it the manager? Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's the women's manager, far from it. But you can identify other issues. If you spend a load of money and it doesn't come together, you go, well, what is it? What hasn't worked? Did we not buy the right players? Was it not the right coach? Was it not the right whatever, blah, 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 blah. But with the women's team, it's like we haven't even tried to do that at any point so far. So you can't really make a sort of judgment on what would happen if we did do that, because we haven't tried. We haven't tried to become a top 4 team. That's probably my issue. Yeah. Rather than we haven't achieved being a top 4 team, I don't feel like at the moment we've really tried to become a top 4 team.
Well, I think
we've just kept the pace with the teams in the middle, and that's okay. That's fine. But then, like you say, they need to get rid of that millstone. They need to just come clean. Take that sign down, change it for something else, just do your job or something, like the old Bill Belichick, whatever. Be honest with the fans and say, this is the situation that we're in. Be honest with the fans about the stadium, because I think a lot of us feel like, be honest with the challenges and stuff. I said in my column that I wrote about the sort of women's stadium that I feel like what's going to happen is it's going to be delayed a couple of years, but they're going to announce that alongside the stadium itself. So it's like, you got a stadium. It's delayed a couple of years.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, we've got a stadium. What was that? Oh, delayed a couple of years. Oh, well, at least it's happening.
I mean, the thing that I first saw was that this stadium was going to be ready for the 26-27 season.
Yeah, not a hope.
Then we are aware already. They don't need to announce it. We know it's delayed.
We know it's not. It's not going to be 27-28 either. That's 18 months' time.
Yeah. Unless it is the quickest builder in the world and it can't be because they're all building houses in Eastbourne,
Exactly.
then it's not going to get built. They don't really need to announce that. But I get all of your points, but I will also say London City. They weren't in the WSL last year. They have spent money and they are now mid-table. And I know they looked rubbish on Sunday, and that's probably because they sacked their manager. I think if Prasher had still been in charge, that would have been a different match, because he was just starting to get them all gelling and working together. So I think part of that is the fact that they've built up and then decided, oh, hold on, we want different foundations. Let's change it all around again.
Yeah.
But you have got other clubs now willing to spend money. Aston Villa are willing to spend money. So not only are we not looking likely that we are going to be top 4, mid to lower table is potentially where we're going to be if we're not getting some pieces in. Now, maybe, let's benefit the doubt, maybe summer is that transfer, is that window that they've sat there, last summer and gone, oh, all of these, half of Arsenal and quite a few from Chelsea are all out of contract in the summer. We can do a lot of business there. We can really do well. They were probably hoping that they would be better this season to be a more attractive proposition. I reckon they sat in the summer and went, right, we've got 5th. If we can be 5th or 6th at the end of this, and we've got this pool of cash and we've got all these people coming out of contract, we can bring it in and we can build a really good team. We've got these young kids that have been playing for a year. Lovely. We'll have Michelle on loan. We'll have Rosa on loan. I think Keats leaving caught them out. Obviously, Michelle getting injured caught them out. And now we're sort of scrabbling to catch up. Now, if we get to the end of the season and OG's been out on loan and Aisha's not played, that would make me a bit concerned. And if we get to the end of the transfer window in the summer and we're still watching tumbleweed, tumble across the pitch at Broadfield, then that's a different matter. But it might be that we just have to delay ourselves.
My concern is if we don't look like a club that is having ambition, we start losing people like Dario.
Yeah, and Fran, and players won't want to come here.
Absolutely. And then everyone will look at us and go, yeah, well, you talked about 4th last year. You came 5th and you did fuck all. You went down. You're now in like 6th, 7th, whatever again. You're back to being that fighting relegation team. You're not that bothered. You're not really matching my ambition as a player. No. You get a reputation among players as, they were nice. I liked playing there, but we didn't really do anything. The management didn't really look like they wanted to move us forward.
I think the other thing as well is obviously the majority of the free agents that are probably we're looking at seriously are going to be coming from within the WSL, which means we cannot negotiate a contract with them right now. So you could get a player who says, yeah, I'm coming to Brighton. Like let's say Sam Kerr. Oh yeah, I'm coming to Brighton. Yeah, coming to Brighton. Yeah, just wait till the wait till the deadline day. Wait till the summer deadline day comes. I'll sign on the dotted line. Then 2 days before, I don't know, let's say Gotham or someone like that.
I was going to say Gotham for some reason.
she played in New York, I think, before actually, but they weren't called Gotham at that point. I think they were called Blue Sky or something like that. That they come in and say, oh, do you know what, Sam? Obviously, she's married to an American now and they have a child together. Why don't you just come over here? It's much nicer weather and, we have less tax and, X, Y, and Z. And, and they think, well, we have been in England for a few years now. Maybe it would be right to go back to the States or whatever. And, obviously Sam Kerr is Australia, States. I mean, it's not massively different either way, is it, for her, the UK or whatever, to get home? That's my concern. Is if we're signing players now on pre-contracts, announce them because they're under contract, so they can't get out of them. At least that would give us some sort of impetus for the summer. And if what you're doing is pinning your hopes on 5 or 6 WSL players, I would say you cannot trust a word anyone says in the football industry until you literally have them sign on the dotted line and they're in the building.
Yeah.
You can have any player that's out of contract in the summer saying to you, yes, please could you sign the contract? Oh, I've decided no, I'm going somewhere else. So you cannot rely on that. You cannot rely on the fact that in the summer Caitlin Ford is going to go, yeah, do you know what? I've been offered like 25 other clubs, but I'm going to pick Brighton because I said I'd pick Brighton in January and that's what I'm going to do. You cannot rely on that, you know. So what are we going to do at that point? We're in a free-for-all. And if we're in a free-for-all and we finished 8th and we lost 3/4 of our games in the second half of the season, you know, Fran thinks, you know, enough of this for a game of soldiers and blah, 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 and retires early or whatever, then club players are going to go, do you know what? West Ham don't look so bad, you know, like, and that's the concern.
This is in London.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you might think, well, they finished a place lower, but they're on the up, you know, whereas there's a bit of a danger that we're seen as a team that's on the down. You know, we finished 5th last season, and yet we do not have like an established striker in the squad. It just doesn't, you know. And I think I'll go back to sort of the point that Ben made, and that you know is kind of well known amongst the fan base about this homegrown issue that we have. And I think part of that is we haven't over the years invested in the quality homegrown English players to where we can have 8 English players that contribute to the actual team in our squad. We've effectively got, I think, let's say, for example, we do not sign anyone and we end up putting, who do we say, Grace on the
McEwen, probably.
Yeah, Grace McEwen. So then out of our 8 homegrown, we've got 2 goalkeepers who cannot play simultaneously as cheer. Now, granted, this is a bit of a weird situation. We've got WAFCON, Baggers will play a couple, but we've got 2 goalkeepers who, for the most part, are homegrown representatives. They will not see the pitch for the majority. You've also got 2 youth players who are mainly going to sit on the bench and play in Subway Cup games, so they're effectively not contributing to the squad as it were as a whole. So you've basically then got 4 English players, one of which I think has played, is it 7 games in the WSL, and I think has only started 1, which is Bex, you know, who's got some potential, and you know, but we don't know. She's an unknown quantity. She hasn't been there, done it, and seen it in the WSL. Then we're down to 3, which we think is Caitlin, who we're not really sure of the status of long term, because obviously, you know, I think many people feel that at some point she will want to return to Celtic. We've got Fran, who, you know, I think is desperate to play every game, but she just does pick up injuries. That's where she is in her career. And we've got Maisie, and that's literally it. We've effectively got 3 players who, when they are fit, are challenging for a starting spot. And 2 of them, one of them's is quite injury prone, and one of them is potentially looking towards the end of her career, moving back to a club she liked before, she felt at home at before. So it's only really Maisie that's English that you can go, yes, she is a homegrown player, long term, hopefully. Fingers crossed, for Brighton. That is concerning, because even London City, with them buying people right, left, and centre, they've still got 3 or 4 English players who are playing like virtually every game for them. And they've also got another 3 or 4 who can come on and contribute. And we've hamstrung ourselves a little bit because we're having to make up quotas while other teams are using their quotas to build their teams.
Yeah, well, I think, I mean, again, it's the majority of clubs outside the top ones are in the same position, because that, you know, they're obviously, you know, when you look at Arsenal, actually haven't got very many English players, but they've got, you know, Leah Williamson, Beth Mead, Leslie Russo, etc.
Yeah, the ones they have are pretty much nailed on.
They got the expensive, glamorous ones, and same with Chelsea. Yeah, they've got Hannah Hampton, Aggie Beaver Jones, and all that lot. Man City and Man United have got sort of, Lauren Hemps and Ella Toons, but there's not that many of them around. That's the trouble. So you've got to kind of get what you can get, And I mean, it's interesting. I mean, the homegrown word, because the whole idea of that is that you have an academy and develop players and things like that. I think of the Arsenal team, only Leah Williamson in the first team, and only Leah Williamson and Lotte Woodman-Moy of the regular sort of players at Arsenal were Arsenal products. And Chelsea, I think Aggie Beaver-Jones was a Chelsea product. So what they're doing is essentially, again, like with the sort of the hierarchy in the Premier League or whatever. I'm a good player, so I go up the levels and find myself at the top clubs. So that's and obviously I think we're talking about Lola Brown sort of a while ago, who's in the Chelsea Academy. She's out on loan at Crystal Palace as a Chelsea Academy player, but she's from Sussex because they basically poach all the sort of decent kids that are all over. So you're again, as a sort of a small to middling sized club, you're basically fighting with one hand tied behind your back when you're trying to find decent sort of local talent.
I think that for the most part, that's quite right. I mean, my only thing, and I've said this on the podcast before, is if you can't get the Lionesses, get the next Lionesses.
Yeah.
We had Ruby Mace went for 200,000. To me, in 2 or 3 years' time, she's a £500,000 player at least, because she's that vital to, especially to Everton. I've spoken before about Mari Ward, who's under 23 international. Kira Barry goes to Bay instead of staying in the WSL. Not all of those players, it's just statistically unlikely that all of the under 23s will eventually progress to the Lionesses, but you give yourself a good chance if you sign a few of them. But we're not. They're going elsewhere. They're going to other clubs when they are on the market. I think we all agree Leah Williamson is not on the market. Beth Mead, not really on the market, not for the money we would be willing to part with her to get her. So not really on the market. Chloe Kelly, etc., etc., etc. All the Lionesses are not really on the market to us. So what do you do to get young English talent? Well, you either grow it yourself, which I think we will get a few players. I definitely think the quality in the academy is better than it's ever been. And I do genuinely think at least a couple of players will make it into the first team squad over the next couple of years. But then you augment that by buying quality English players who perhaps a little bit under the radar, or they're a bit too young to make it into the full team yet. I mean, I can't remember her name. The one who's come in and we were all annoyed that she came in instead of Maisie. She was at the Aston Villa player. She was at
Lucia Kendall.
Lucia Kendall. She was at Southampton before that, I think, wasn't she? So they picked up a player from Southampton who's turned out to jump in ahead of the England squad ahead of Maisie. So these players are out there. But we have to be smarter in picking them up, in my opinion. You can't pick them up once they're already at Aston Villa or whatever. Because if someone comes in for Lucia Kendall now, if Chelsea come in for Lucia Kendall and think, she's the next big thing for England, then A, Aston Villa are going to want a shed load of money. And B, as soon as she signs for Chelsea, you'll have to double that amount if you ever want to get her back out. Because she's then English, plays for Chelsea and is a Lioness. So she's basically golden. She's a golden goose at that point. So you've got to get them first. And that's where I would like to see. I get that we're going to like Scandinavia, and I get what we're doing is kind of, we're being priced out of deals, I think, for like the Swedish league, American leagues, things like that. So we're going down a league. And I think in some ways that makes sense, but you also have to acknowledge it's more of a risk because the quality in those leagues, especially I would say the defending, can be pretty poor. Like that was my, this is not a knock on Ulag at all, but I would say about 5 goals she scored last season were where like the defense basically passed it to her by accident. So that's not a knock on her because she flaming well took it up and finished it. But it's hard to go, she scored 20 goals, so she'll definitely get 15 in the WSL.
Yeah.
You just can't, you don't know. You just have to hope.
And she's an attacking midfielder. She's not a striker.
Yeah, she's not a striker.
It's a very different role, we only have Carla at the moment, really, to
Who
call upon
is
as
primarily a
an out and
striker.
out striker.
Yeah.
And that is
Talking
why
of
all that pressure on her.
attacking midfielders,
Yeah.
Ooh,
I'm
we signed
gonna.
one.
No, not us.
Everton.
I would not have been quiet this long if we had. I'm going to muller her surname.
It's the pronunciation, isn't it? I know it.
Zara
Yeah.
Kramjar.
Kramjar, yeah.
Zara,
I think it's
anyway,
pronounced,
has been signed from AS Roma to Everton for the remainder of the season with an obligation to make the move permanent this summer.
So there you go.
That's another one for Everton. After Emma Sanders said, I'm gonna home now because I'll tell you it's pretty much done in the WSL. And there's been, I think, 2 or 3. What she
meant was Arsenal and Chelsea aren't buying anyone, so don't care about anything else. I'm off. Bye.
Yeah. I think that was what that meant. Yeah.
Because also not in the WSL, but it's just you're seeing that, forwards are being signed, and yes, they're going to WSL too. But you're sort of thinking, if Newcastle have signed someone till the end of the season, could we not have brought her in and given us just a little bit of, breathing room and rotation? But it comes back to that thing that Ben was saying of not having the homegrown quota and having the homegrown talent. And the thing that I worry about with that for us is that it's very obvious that, English WSL fans, unless they are like us to a club, and I'm one of those people that watched the Euros, went, where's my nearest WSL club? Oh, I'll go there. Thank you very much. Most people will follow the Lionesses, and by not having a strong homegrown quota, and that's nothing against the players that we do have, but by not having a strong homegrown quota, we have not got those future Lionesses. At the moment, we've got, Baggers is the 3rd, 4th option goalkeeper, and she won't move up that list until she goes and bench warms at Arsenal, and then she'll be first on the list. Because that seems to be the way it happens, and possibly Maisie. And that's really all the prospect we have for the future England thing. But I will come back to, if we need somebody who is an English player, why have we let Olivia Johnson go off on loan when we need a striker? That's what I'm struggling with, is we need a striker. We all agree we need a striker. And yet we've sent 2 strikers out on loan. And I appreciate that one is going out on loan because we haven't got the space from the squad because of the homegrown thingamy. That's fine. But OJ's a really good, solid prospect. Why are we not keeping her in the club, putting her in the senior squad? And I'd much rather her have, 5-10 minutes at the end of at the end of a match than doing that in wherever she's gone to. So, that's what I'm, slightly.
Well, it's officially 2300 and it's closed. BBC have announced that it's closed, but they have said there are 1 or 2 things still to be tied up in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if they've submitted, it's like the men's one. If they've submitted basically a sheet that says that we've committed to it essentially, but we're just finalising the details, then they're allowed to complete it, I think, within a certain amount of time after.
They probably have to fax it to the FA, don't they?
They did actually until very recently. I think they
probably
did.
Still do.
In fact, I'm not sure that when the WSL took over, as opposed to the FA running the WSL, if that makes sense, I'm not sure they didn't say that the FA was still using a fax machine.
Oh, I think so.
I don't think they do that anymore. I think now with under Nicky
I bet they do.
Can you imagine sort of
every single football club in the country's got to have a fax machine, because that's the only way the FA would take correspondence.
The former
I'll email it to you. CEO, I'd rather a fax, actually, if you don't mind.
Former CEO of Nike, coming in and going, how do we receive, a transfer updates? Oh, well, via fax.
Carrier pigeon.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be doing that anymore.
Yeah, we've got Speckled Jim coming through with the with the details around his ankle.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, just going back a little bit to the pie in the sky that we were talking about earlier, there was this talk that West Ham have received offers for Shakira Martinez, and they're sort of batting them away or whatever. I think that's a brilliant way to win the game this weekend. Just buy their star striker.
Yeah.
Well, they've lost Anouk Denton to Bay, haven't they? So that's another nice hole in their defence.
Yeah, although they signed Hampton, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I think that was the corresponding move. That they did. Because I think they saw money signs when it came to Denton, so they thought, well, if we can get a solid professional in, we're probably not going to concede that many more goals, but we'll stick 200,000 quid in our coffers to make improvements in the summer, I guess.
Buy some more pot noodles.
Yes, at Julie's Cafe. Maybe some different flavours would be nice. I don't
mind a bit of chicken and mushroom. No, that's all right.
Yeah, sort of a classic, isn't it? Yeah, I was hoping for like a bomb. Is it nice and spicy, or is that knick-knack?
I like a nice and spicy. Or just curry.
Now the pot noodle one is a Bombay Bad Boy.
Yeah,
because the reason I have very fond in brackets memories of this is we had an army cadet camp, and one of our instructors worked for Pot Noodle at the time. And their boss went, "Oh, I'll send you some over. How many kids have you got?" And she sort of went, "Well, we've got X amount of, teenagers." So he sent some over, but he said 6, like a tray of 6 per cadet. Now, could you please imagine the chaos of an army cadet camp with like however many cadets, all having nothing but Bombay Bad Boy pot noodle for the last 2 days? Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
It did sort of put you off pot noodle for a long, long time. Yeah.
I must admit, I did message the club via X. I did tag them in it and say, "Can we go to bed?" Have not had a response.
Well, that's because they've got
that could mean one or two things. Either they've gone home, most likely, or we're going to be doing something late. But I think it's probably the former. So I shan't get too excited. But and also, for the record, they do not comment on potential transfers in advance, which is why sometimes they can be good for a bit of a curveball, because it looked to me, especially from what Emma Sanders and some of the other women's football journalists were saying earlier, that essentially clubs or the media teams had told them, "We're done. Like, we're literally not going to be doing anything else. We're all going home probably." So they were able to kind of quite honestly say, by like sort of lunchtime, mid-afternoon, these clubs are not going to be doing anything. But we weren't named as one of those clubs, and I still think it's probably because we have this policy of we're not going to tell you whether we are done or we aren't done. So whereas like some other clubs are like, "Yeah, we're done. Yeah, don't worry about it. Nothing else is happening." We're like, "No, we're not saying. We will not tell you." And then they've all got all the lights are off.
If anyone lives in Lancing, just go and have a look over the.
Can you see if there's any lights on?
They've left a light on just to keep
everyone to confuse us. That reminds me of the old Lee Evans anecdote about the fact that people leave a landing light on when they go on holiday, and what will the burglars think? They're all huddled together on the landing. So there we go. So yes, I mean, I'd like to say it was eventful, but we've had a jolly good chat, a bit of a laugh.
There's been some really good comments in the comments.
Constructive discussion, I think. I'm
not sure if they've been listening to us or just talking to each other in the comments.
Well, there you go. Yeah, no, everyone's been great. Thank you very much for the comments. It's really appreciated. We try and address some, and then also weave in, if people have mentioned things, try and get that into the conversation at a certain point. So please do, if you're watching either the podcast or a show like this, really appreciate you guys commenting and stuff. It just gives us extra things to think about, extra content to talk about, and you know, it's nice to see you all. So
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that's probably going to do us. It doesn't look like anything imminent is happening. There's no breaking news. There's no yellow and black bar across the screen or anything.
Yeah.
No, there's
So
no blue and white smoke coming out of the chimneys at Lancing.
yeah, well, that only works if we've signed Nick Pope.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a female player called Pope, although there probably is if you go looking hard enough. But
well, every so often on Sky, they're reporting on the fact that OJ has gone to Newcastle. So every so often, you sort of see this thing of Brighton comes up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that one. So just for a split second, I sort of get that moment of
There you go.
Yeah.
Right, so we shall leave you, lovely people, to go into the night, go to your beds, and you never know. Pray hard enough, and something in the morning could arrive via social media or into your inboxes. Yeah. There's just a shred of hope we've got.
There's still a shred of hope. We can just hope.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, keep that dream alive for a little bit longer, and then otherwise we'll all be crying into our pot noodles on Sunday, but ready to support the team as always, as ever. So
absolutely.
Thank you all very much for joining us. I would like to say thank you very, very much to Ben for joining me today, to Claire, of course, and to Abby.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, it was me producing this one again. So Joe's had the night off, very deserved. So yes, this has been a very special SheGulls bonus episode. And I shall bid you adieu.
Adieu.